Good morning. It's a beautiful day here at Redhead Racing. Finally got a few days off work to try to get some more work done on the Supra. Just finished up an install video on the Rebel 1100. If you didn't catch that, go check it out up here. This thing's coming along really nice. It's a great daily driver, but yeah, if you care about the Rebel, go check out Rebel stuff. You're here for Supra stuff.
This thing's a boat, dude. That's scary.
It drives like a Perkins, but it's built like a Waffle House, and we're turning that around. Last episode you saw we redid the whole rear end. We've got new trailing arms. We're converting to BC Racing coilovers. We got the new shocks and springs in the back. How the fuck are you supposed to adjust that up in there? We're also doing Whiteline sway bars. We got all new wheel bearings and seals. It's really coming along. The whole back end is done. It's just waiting for its final adjustment and we can go get it aligned. But before we can do that, we gotta get the front done. So let's get it caught up. Go ahead and get this bike out of here, but we gotta be quick about it. No particular reason, we just wanna hurry. Efficiency is the name of the game around here. You know us. We're efficient people. Fuck. Ugh. Watch out, potato! We gotta be fast! Why is it so goddamn cold? Sound like it's knocking to you? That would be weird. It's never done that before. It's like 3 fucking degrees out there. Is it even positive today?
I think it was right at 0 when I checked the weather.
Alexa, what's the temperature?
Right now, it's 0 degrees Fahrenheit.
0. There are no degrees. All right, give everybody the rundown. Show them what all we got.
I'm not camera.
You're out here and there's a camera.
Whack. We got some things and some stuff. These aren't going on the Supra, are they?
I don't know. Maybe.
More BC Racing?
Yep,
just
more
like
BC Racing
just
stuff.
Like the rear. You already know it was BC Racing because they already watched. Because you're subscribed.
Her words, not mine. Let's look at what all we're trying to get done today. It's ambitious, but let's see. We got new rotors. We got new control arms for the front, which is super convenient for all the shit that they don't make for this car anymore. These front control arms that have bushings and new ball joints already installed are like $30 a piece. Super nice. We got new brake pads. We got new axle nuts and the little weird hats for them. Got new hardware for the disc brakes. Got the new coilovers, and we got new wheel studs.
Don't seem very long.
They're average. And then over here is just the pile of all the old parts we've been pulling off the car. Those are the shoes off of the parts car. Where are the shoes and springs and sway bar that came off of this car? Oh, hey, didn't see you there. I spend a lot of time alone out here, so I made a friend. His name is Supra Steve. Leave a comment, welcome him to the channel. He's a bud, he's a good dude, and he kind of boings. He just wobbles like an idiot. So, let's crack into it and see if we can get all this shit taken apart. But first, let's check the oil because that knocking sound kind of concerned me pulling in here. It's never done that before. And this thing does leak. It leaks a lot. Fucking mint. I mean, it's right on the low line, but she's fine. So, this thing leaks a lot. That'll be one of the next big things we need to do on this. Once we're done with all the suspension rebuild. We got some interior work to do, and then we need to get somebody around here that knows how to do cam tower gaskets, because that ain't me. How hard could it be though, you know? It's part of why I'm bringing y'all along on this journey, because we're all learning together. We could learn how to do that. We've learned how to do wheel bearings. We learned how to do trailing arms and all that together. You know, let's learn some stuff together. I'm happy with how the oil looks, so we're gonna pretend we didn't hear that knocking on the way in. Let's get it up and get these wheels off. Impact number 1 is completely fucking dead. It spins, but like you can overpower it with your hand. It's some manner of broken, so this one's trash. But it lived a good life. So I had to go get the backup out of the race trailer from where we took the Miata to a rally last weekend. It was still in there. Even with a fresh, warm battery, I think the impact itself is too cold and it's just not even, like...
The bag itself had frost on it.
Everything's frozen and it's kind of fucking inconvenient, honestly. I know that's not much to see on camera, but it is a tangible amount to play in the wheel there. Whether it's the wheel bearing or some manner of ball joint or literally anything that it could be is getting replaced today. So that's neat. Gonna let the impact warm up, I guess, and try again in a little bit. I'm beyond physical labor and getting out of breaker bar. I'll just sit back and have a drink while this warms up. And done. All right, let's see what we got in here. Got the brakes up out of the way. Everything is really well covered in grease. And I think I remember the previous owner saying that he had the front brakes gone through. So we might actually reuse these pads. The rotor is pretty rusty, so we might swap it out since we have it anyway. Just gotta get all this apart and, oof, yeah, that's a brand new pad. So we're not gonna waste the new ones that we have. We're just gonna run these again. Boop. Yeah, them's good. I don't know whether I should do the wheel bearings first with them still on the car or something. I'm still new to wheel bearings. I'm gonna take everything apart first. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm good at taking stuff apart. How's your side going?
Man, trying to get a cotter pin off.
I couldn't bend the cotter pin out of its hole on my side, so I just broke it and sheared it.
Well, I guess that's what I'm about to do, because I couldn't get mine out either.
Yeah, that's fine. This is fine. It's fine. It's what we have replacement cotter pins for. Making pretty good progress on my side. The sway bar is undone. The tie rod is off. Boop. And I don't know what to do next. I guess next is whatever this rod here is that ties the control arm to the chassis. Get that unbolted next. I took the nut all the way off first.
I tried to get the nut all the way off. It would
oh, did it start spinning?
Yeah, it just kept spinning.
Oh. Yeah, mine didn't do that. Mine came off. Oh, whack.
How's that make you feel on the inside?
I would let that fucker spin about 3 more seconds and then I'd be grabbing an angle grinder. We have new tie rods.
You have new castle nuts?
Yeah, it's a whole thing ready to go.
Oh, fuck. Well, okay.
Cut that fucker for all I care. We ain't got time for that shit. Why did you cut the top of the nut off instead of the middle of the shaft?
What do you mean?
I would have pulled the pickle fork out and cut the shaft in the middle. How are you gonna get it apart now still? You cut the nut mostly off of the top of it.
I don't know, I'm not really making decisions over here. I'm just doing things. Here, hold this thing and cut it, so I cut it.
We gave Alex power tools and, you know, you get what you get sometimes. I don't know how this is supposed to come off, but the hardware is removed, so I guess it'll swing down and out of the way eventually.
Do you remember how this goes back together?
When Alex pops up from his side with just a handful of hardware asking you if you know where it goes, you just smile and hope for the best.
You know where all this goes?
We're trained professionals. The control arm bolt is free. I don't understand. Oh man, I think if you pull this bolt right here and this bolt right here, I think the shock separates from whatever this arm is. We're gonna call this the steering arm. And I think if I pull those 2 bolts, the shock will separate and that'll make it easier to get all this shit out of. Let's take a look, see if that works. 17 again? This one, it's really on there. It's a 2-man job. But luckily, I have an Alex with a crowbar. I need you to figure out how to jimmy jam that to keep this from being able to twist. Right about like this, perhaps. That's the best I've got. Just enough to keep it from turning while I turn this bolt. Go. I'm wrong. Ugh. Did you see me get that bolt out all by myself? Wound up having to reconnect the tie rod and hold the steering wheel to keep this whole assembly from turning. So what are we gonna do on your side?
Hey, you remember when I cut that shit?
So, our tie rod is disconnected. Our shock is now disconnected from whatever else is inside of there. So we should be able to just pull the 3 nuts off the top hat. This whole assembly will fall out. Let go. There we go. Just like that. Finish getting the control arm out. Then we'll start breaking these down for the coilovers and the wheel bearings and get that side caught up. I'm not saying one of us is having, you know, a faster, more efficient time than the other or anything, but, you know, we'll get one of the sides that's not here caught up. And it's not because he keeps coming over here to help me either. That's definitely not it.
And we're certainly not going to run into any problems that, you know, I might have cut off.
Like and subscribe. For more pro tips, like and subscribe. So we got the whole strut assembly out. Control arm is still stuck to it because of this bolt here. We just could not finagle leverage to get it off on the car. And for some reason we thought it would be easier if we took it off the car first. I don't know. We're gonna fight with that for a while. We got to get it separated, so. Is the vise strong enough to hold it? Maybe. I don't know, we'll figure something out.
Oh shit.
It seems like the vise is holding it pretty good. I'm just gonna give it a quick yank and see if it comes loose. Hey, that didn't work. Slipped out of the vise. Let's see. Yeah, the vise is broken.
Yep, that broke it.
Why is this bolt so fucking tight? All it does is hold the whole front end together. What next?
We gotta take it to a shop and they can air impact that bitch off.
We don't need backup. We're adults. We did it. All right, she's turning. Oh. Shit, I got it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I found an old trailer hitch that was meant to be a hitch on the back of a F100 or something and slipped that over the steering knuckle and that was enough. And now I'm tired. I need a nap and some chalky milk and my tummy hurts. I'm not healthy. Let's finish getting this thing apart. We'll get both of the OEM coilover assemblies on the table and show you what the next step is. And I'm not excited for it. We've got the strut disassembled and ready to fuck with. But it occurred to me that now is probably the best time to go ahead and swap the sway bar. Since everything is out of the way. Obviously we would swap it before putting all of this back together, but I'm really dreading what we have to do next with the coilovers. So I'd rather go ahead and knock out the sway bar just so I can feel like we did something right. Because that should be an easy swap, theoretically. How's it look under there?
It looks easy.
Yeah? Really?
Yeah.
Hey, why is it covered in oil?
Oh yeah, don't worry about that.
Uh-huh.
It ain't like you got some subframe in the way.
So anyway, what's the subframe thing that it goes through? Do we have to take that off and like snake the sway bar through it? Yeah, I suppose so. It is just a few bolts. We're gonna have to pull these whole subframe. I know it's not the subframe, but they're kind of frame-like, and they're not main, so I'm calling them subframes. Fuck you. We're gonna have to pull these bolts here, and a couple more on the back side of it, which is not that big a deal, as long as the impact just yoinks them out without breaking anything. These bolts are a kind of rusty pain in the ass, but they're coming out clean. Ow. Except for this one. These go into a captive welded nut on the top side, and this one broke loose. So I'm having to try to figure out how to hold it while impacting it off. And you know, you'll have that sometimes. Okay. Pop the ones holding it on this side. I'm touching stuff. I'm covered in the oil now. Oil people, oil people.
Stop that. That's racist.
What? What is racist about it?
Oil people, oil people.
Oh, damn. Now I see it.
There we go.
You got oil in your hair?
Yeah, you'll have that. If you go up under your Supra and don't come out covered in oil, do you really have a Supra? So, it looks like all we gotta do is undo the saddles that hold the sway bar to these frameworks. And then the new one kind of just pops back in. So we got the saddles and the bushings off, and those just come out of there like that. So we've got some Pour 15 that we used to repaint a bunch of the rear end suspension stuff, and might as well go ahead and do that on a bunch of this while we have it out. I was going to do these strut bars, apparently the tech manual calls these. I was gonna do them, but since we have these brackets out, I think we're gonna do these too. We'll probably be painting some things today and reassembling everything tomorrow once paint's dry. Just gotta make sure we remember which way the sway bar goes in. Wouldn't it be funny to put it upside down and put it together and then have to take it back apart? Still easier than a GTI. Having to drop the subframe and, you know, taking all of the time that it took for us to cross thread some of the subframe bolts back in, like, it's time consuming, you know?
You know, I heard that cross thread's better than Loctite.
Cross threaded or torque to spec, tight is tight. Because whoever has to take this apart again in the future is probably an asshole. Fuck them. It's me. I'm the asshole. We'll get these guys cleaned up and get them painted along with a bunch of other shit. I sure hope nothing flies off and comes up to hit me in the face. Just cleaning up all the hardware. A bunch of this shit's pretty crusty. Just want to make sure it goes back together easier than it came apart.
Because you care.
Because we care. That's pretty mashed up. I'm not trying to overdo repainting the calipers. I don't feel like disconnecting the lines and having to re-bleed things that don't need re-bled already, and we're just gonna mask it up in place here and give them a quick spray. Once over dust, twice over rust. It helps hold everything together a little bit better. A good proper coat of paint will keep your fuel oil piping on the 2 Bravo fuel service pump from just completely falling apart. I promise. So while that paint dries, it's time to go ahead and address the big project here. This stock coilover, strut assembly, whatever. We've got all new wheel bearings, seals, wheel studs, and the coilovers themselves. Go ahead and pop this cap off and see what we're looking at as far as how to get to the bearings. Does that look like brand new grease to you? These look good. We did wheel bearings and everything in the rear because we were working with stripped down trailing arms that came off the parts car in an unknown condition. We were driving on these just fine. Okay, that's not a good measure. I'll drive on some fucked up shit. We know that these are fine. They weren't making any angry noises. The grease still looks pretty damn new. I'd rather not take it apart. I think the bearings are fine. The studs are fine. There was no need for new studs. I was just gonna do them since we had it apart anyway. The rotor itself, it actually seems like you have to pull the hub and subsequently the wheel bearings in order to replace the rotor. And the rotor is fucking fine. It's a little surface rusty from having sat for the last few months. I don't think we need to do any of that. So we're not gonna. Good job, we did it. If we ever do run into a problem, we have new axle nuts, seals, bearings, everything, if it ever does come up. But as of right now, I don't think we need to.
That's a problem for future Homer.
That means that we can skip that step and take a look at the coilovers. So, you'll notice that this is all one piece. That that I'm going to keep calling the coilover, even though it may technically be a strut assembly, whatever, fuck you. This stock coilover doesn't detach from the spindle. Here's the new coilovers.
Some assembly might be required there.
This is left bare and shiny so that it's halfway prepped for you to weld it.
You a welder?
I'm a welder. Look at this bobbly idiot. Look at him. I'm a fucking welder, okay? The reason I built Supra, Steve, actually, was to practice my welding for this exact reason. The directions tell us exactly where to cut this off, and this actually fits over the stub of what we cut off. So it's actually a sleeve weld, which isn't like incredibly structural. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried at all. I guess it's time to measure and cut it. Here we go. So here's our directions. It shows cutting the stock strut 50 millimeters above its base. And then we just slide the coilover on, and then we welding. So,
some very intuitive instructions there.
You know, I'm a pictures kind of guy, and them pictures do it for me. I'll take it. I guess I'm just gonna measure out 50 millimeters, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know how many freedoms that is. Based on quick math, I've determined that 5 centimeters is 50 millimeters. There we go. We just cut that. This is probably not pressurized, right? Like, if they were telling you to cut it, it wouldn't be pressurized, right? Probably, right?
What's in that cup?
Courage. Choose my weapon. Sawzall or Destructo disc?
Probably Sawzall.
You think Sawzall?
I've never really cut shit like
I've never
this.
cut open a fucking strut before, so I guess I lean Sawzall. That way you can just easily nudge in there to see if something funny's gonna happen. Let's just send it. It's probably fine. Put on my safety vipes. I don't know if it's almost through or not. You thought spring compressors were stressful. That's gotta be almost through. Don't step further back and then pretend I'm being dramatic. It's still not through anything yet. It's like a Pop Goes the Weasel, but it just keeps singing and singing and singing, but it won't fucking pop. It's still not through yet. And it's getting kind of deep.
Look at all these other marks right here from you being scared.
Fuck you. Hey, that looks like it's through something. We're through. It's fine. It's fine. There was nothing to worry about. That's why I wasn't really worried. There's something coming out now. I don't want to leak it all over the workbench. Blah. Should have done this over a drain or something, huh? All right, what did we just open? Neat. I guess it's not particularly pressurized. Or maybe this thing was already blown, who knows? Cut open bombs at your own risk, I guess.
Are you gonna do this next one over a drain or something?
Maybe over the drain pan? The oil drain pan?
That'll work.
Over that. Once I get it cut open to where it's leaking, we'll lay it on there and just let it drain out.
That'll work.
That'll work.
Put it against this so it can drain.
Yeah, just stand it up so it can drain in there and we can pour it on the burn pile later. You can burn hydraulic fluid, right?
Yeah, you can.
Hell yeah.
You can absolutely burn anything you want.
He's getting our weld surface cleaned up on those. As far as the actual coilovers, the body of them comes off. So we can actually just completely remove this body. I was worried about the, you know, do not heat, do not open. Let's get one of these off of here and go see how it fits on those things. Jesus Christ, how long is this thing? So this, oh, it does. That fits nice. This edge right here is all we have to weld. And anybody that's good at welding, please leave in the comments and let us know how we should have done this differently. I don't know how to weld. I know that I want a bevel on this edge, so I'm gonna bevel that. Is that enough of a bevel? I hope so. We're gonna get a real welder on the phone.
Howdy, feller.
Oh, hey, man. Hey, I like your shirt. Our coilovers. This is the bottom sleeve that the spring and shit sits on and inside of threaded. This bottom of this sleeve, I already beveled it a little bit, and it has to go on this spindle where I already cut the stock strut off, and this just sits over it and gets welded around right there.
Oh, easy peasy.
Easy peasy?
The bottom of that you beveled out, let me look at the bevel. You're going to want to do a little bit more on that.
Instead of it being a little bevel, you want much more bevel?
Not much more, a little bit more. Also, what is the material that you're welding to? Is it cast?
We don't know.
How would I know?
Let me look at it.
It's a spindle.
Yeah, it looks like cast. That's going to be a pain in the ass. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to blowtorch that for a little bit before you weld on it. Where that's cast, you're going to want to get it hotter. That way the weld will penetrate.
Is it a problem that we're doing this with flux core?
Yeah, it's going to suck, yeah. But this is how to minimize that suck.
Do I need to be worried about like doing one side a little and then the other side and bouncing around to keep it from warping or anything?
No, so there's not going to be any warping from anything that thick, and also where it's tubing. Holding a bead around it is going to be more beneficial for you because it's going to keep the heat as you go around. Where it's so thick and where it's also cast, you're going to get a lot of heat. I want to make a $10 bet that while you're doing that, you blow a breaker.
I don't like that bet. Okay, thanks, man. Bye.
Yeah.
Love you. Fucker. All right, so let's increase our bevel a little bit so that we're able to get even more up in between there.
Yeah.
That's what we're going for. And then we'll get out the torch to preheat it, and we're just gonna send it. It's probably fine.
If you blow a breaker, you owe Ty like $10.
If I blow a breaker, I owe Tyler $10. What? Why would it blow a breaker? I didn't blow a breaker the whole time I was building Supra Steve. He's a good bud. You wobbly idiot. Beveling it up. That feels pretty beveled.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't think orientation matters because this that holds the brake line is adjustable, so it can move around as need be. And otherwise it's perfectly symmetrical all the way around. So where's the torch? All right, we'll preheat our metal. He said to get it pretty fucking hot, so I'm gonna do that. All right, just gonna send it. That ain't it yet. Don't look at this. Ow! Ow! Ah, my welding crocs.
What are those?
I burned my toes. Cut to the part where we've taken a grinder and some paint to it. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't leave you hanging like that. Here's finished product. Some of the welds are definitely better than others. I'm still learning how to be more consistent with my speed and how I push the bead and stuff like that, you know. As unstructural as these are, like it's just a sleeve weld to hold it in place, I'm fine with it. There's enough sections on each one that I'm really happy with that makes up for the sections that don't look so good. And I'm good with it. Leave a comment. Let me know if you would ride in the car with anything that I welded holding it together.
And staying in my home for fear that you've designed some object I'm around?
I'm gonna finish painting brake parts that I haven't got to yet. Everything that came off that needs to be freshly rust removed and coated, we're gonna get that knocked out. I'm gonna throw some paint on these welds here. We're gonna be using a bunch of that Pour 15 that seems to have done a really good job on the rear. We'll get everything coated in its final finishes and let it dry overnight. Put all this shit back together tomorrow.
We out here doing hella gang shit.